And good evening, setmates. Tonight, as we've been discussing in chat, is probably going to be one of the last episodes on this game. We're at 73-ish% now, and we've been going through it faster. I think we spent 3 or 4 episodes in the first 33% of the game as we were exploring Karen and just talking about game design and the bits of lore that were how they were different from the tabletop game. And after that, we just kind of breezed through much of the game's content. But because it's been a while since we've properly discussed werewolf lore and explained how things are, the information, for example, about how spirits work and that kind of thing, I figured that tonight I would do a lot of that. Actually, I would catch up a bit on the lore that I haven't explained so far and should have. Last week, if you were there, I mentioned that I would be talking about spirits today because I keep mentioning roughly like how it should work. I talk about terms like incarnate and broods, but I haven't actually given you a real picture of how this all fits together. So this is what I'm going to try to do tonight before we start. One of the reasons I think it's important to do this is because, once again, this being not an inspiration, but an adaptation, they decided to go in a different direction. It's not bad or wrong, it's just very different from what's in the book. We can feel a lot of themes, like the Uktana we just met seems like she has a bit of a personal totem, but that totem is the same totem as the Karen totem, which isn't how it works. It also seems like the totems are both Karen and Pack totems in this game, which is again not accurate. That's not how it works. And also, the spirits themselves are pretty much just random, or spirits that they've created. And sometimes there's already existing spirits that does exactly what the spirit on screen is meant to represent, but instead of using what's in the book, they did their own thing. It's a common thing to do with adaptations. Where they try to stay away from specifics of what's either in the books, or, for example, if it's a movie adaptation of the video games, they try to steer away from the actual lore or that kind of thing, so that people don't feel like they need to know the source material to enjoy the movie or things like that. I personally don't ascribe to that theory. Once again, a good adaptation to me is Lord of the Rings, which stuck as close as possible to the books. To me, that's what a good adaptation should strive to do. But again, no judgment here. It's just a different technique, a different approach. They decided to take their approach where they just change things around. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to try to paint a picture of how it is in the books, so that if you're going to be just playing this game, at least you'll see how it differs from the books. And if you feel that the books sound cool, then, well, maybe you'll pick one up and start playing Werewolf, which is why I'm here. I'm here to show people the tabletop books and the lore in an interesting way. That's why I play these games at the same time as I discuss Werewolf. But my ultimate goal is to share my knowledge of Werewolf and my love of Werewolf, so that more people pick up the books and stop thinking that Werewolf is just about raging out and just splashing blood all over the place, because that's just like a tiny portion of what Werewolf is all about. So let me just catch up on the chat for a quick second there, and then I'm going to remove my face from the screen and try to not spend too much time talking about spirits, but knowing me, we're probably here for at least half an hour. Okay, so you both get an idea of what the pack totem will be for my game. New players decided to just pick it for them. because it would be one less thing to burden them with. And sept patron. Tom Bombadil got shafted. Bring him back. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I mean, it's okay to cut things. Any adaptation will have to, mostly because, for example, if you're doing, let's say you're taking a book to a movie, you don't have as much screen time as a book has pages. So things being cut is fine. I'm less okay with things being changed just to change them to not alienate people. I mean, if people are going to see Lord of the Rings, they want to see what Lord of the Rings is about. That's how I see it. So if you change things just so they don't need to know the books, what's the point? Just present what's in the books. They won't need to read the books. They've got the movie of the books. That's just how I see it. Anyways, so let's remove my face now and start talking about spirits. So let's start at the top. I think it's the easiest way to properly picture the spirits and how the entire hierarchy works, essentially, because you have 4 layers, essentially, of spirits. The first one I'm showing now is the Celestines. And across all of these layers, you have different broods. Some brood starts at the Celestine level, and others start at the next one, which will be Incarni level. But first, let's start with Celestines. We have, obviously, here the Triad, the Wild, the Weaver, and the Worm. Again, I'm not going to go into half an hour discussion on what the Triad is. I've done that several episodes ago, so I feel like we should have a good grasp of what the Triad is and what they represent. But in a nutshell, they're a very good representation of the power level, I guess, of what a Celestine is. The Wild Weaver and the Worm are essentially what created everything. They are the cycle of life. They are creation itself. So it's pretty much as high as you can go in terms of entities without going the other step backwards, which is the Nameless. We're not going to go there because the lore is very iffy on that. But let's just start with the Triad and ignore that there is theoretically maybe something even bigger somewhere. Celestines are the top. Just keep it at that. It'll be a lot simpler, and there's no reason to bring anything beyond that in your games anyway. So you've got the Triad and you've got Gaia. Those are the main / the most important Celestines. In a game of Werewolf, those are the ones you're most likely going to deal with. Probably not personally, because all of these are either in an indistinct location somewhere deep in the Umbra, like Gaia, who's, as we discussed last time, has several different personas, and the books drop hints, vague hints as to where they may be found, but doesn't outright say that there are actually personas of Gaia. As for the 3 members of the Triads, they are in the deep Umbra, where most werewolves can't go. There's a right to go there, and for some reason it's a very accessible right, but factually you can't really go in the deep Umbra because things stop being defined over there. If you go there, you're just going to cease to exist. So I have no idea why there's a level 2 right that allows you to go in the deep Umbra. That shit should be level 6, and just don't. Just never go there. You can't go there safely. It's not a thing. But that's where the members of the Triads live, except the Worm. The Worm specifically is in the near Umbra, which is possible to travel to, but we'll cover the Umbra at a different in a different episodes. The Worm specifically is in a realm known as Malphaeus, which is where all the bad things are. That's essentially the city of all the evil things. We'll discuss actually a bit later when we talk about the male Jinn incarnate. They all live in Malphaeus, at the center of which there's a labyrinth known as the Black Spiral Labyrinth. And if you manage to get through the Black Spiral Labyrinth, that's where the worm itself resides, trapped into the gauntlet. So yeah, Gaia herself, as we've discussed plenty of times already, whether she's above, next to, or below the triad is not clear, depending on who you talk to in terms of changing breeds, because once again, there's not just werewolves. You've also got the were spiders, the were cats, the were all kinds of things. They all have different views of exactly what Gaia is and what her role in creation is. At the very, very least, she is at least quote unquote Mother Nature. She is Earth, the planet Earth. She may be a lot more things. She may be one of the visions is that she's essentially herself is the sum total of the triad. She is the circle of life, right? And therefore she is creation itself. That's left very open and open to interpretation. But at the very least, she is the planet Earth, which is of course being attacked by the worm and ripped open. She's in terrible pain. She's dying, and that is why the Garou are fighting the worm. A lot more on that in my worm lore videos coming soon-ish. I'm almost done writing the third episode. So where exactly she stands in this equation is not super clear, and that's fine. It's not like any of your characters will ever just walk up to her and ask her these questions. That's not going to happen. So those are the four main Celestines. Each of them have their own broods. Some of them have fewer layers. Some of them have all four layers. We'll get to that in a moment. Let me just quickly check the chat. We'll miss your face. What are protons? What do you mean, what are protons? I have no idea what you're referring to here. The wereshark would be like, what are these words? Yes, the wereshark have a very, very different worldview. We're not going to get into that. But yeah, no, they have a very, very distinct vision of everything. The other Celestines are these guys. They are the Celestines of all of the other planets. They're the Celestine of the moon. They are the Celestine of the sun. We're not going to talk about them today, because most of the time they're not super relevant in Werewolf. They exist, but they probably have broods, but they're not really in any books. But you can theoretically access these guys a lot more easily than the other Celestines. Without going into too much detail as to how the Umbra is layered, there are many worlds inside of the near Umbra. One of them is called the ethereal realm, which is very easy to access. It's essentially the spiritual reflection of the sky itself. Once you're there, you can basically just walk towards the sun or walk towards the moon or Saturn or any other planet. You're probably going to meet a ton of dangers along the way, but if you manage to walk all the way there, you can, in theory, enter the umbral reflection of these planets where there's not a lot of stuff preventing you from just walking up to the Celestine who represents this planet. So you could just walk up to Luna. You could just walk up to Helios and Ruatma and all of the other Celestials there. Celestines there. But it's not likely to happen. If you want to know more about them, what would happen if you were to talk to them, what kind of agenda they have, I would say just get your hands on a book called Rage Across the Heavens. What I will say about the planets is they are an excellent way of setting up moods when you're looking for omens. For example, in theory, in werewolves, the Thurges are meant to be looking for omens and signs and always be the people behind in a meeting that just say things like, oh no, tonight we should not enter in stealth, for the alignments of the stars and the way the moon is shining is telling us that we need to do a frontal assault. But there's not much in the books that help you weave that into your game. So what I did back several years ago when I ran my last LARP with Stanil actually and Jen, who's not here tonight, they both helped me a lot. What we did is we essentially just pulled apart that whole book and found that all of the themes, all of the preferences and omens that fit each of these celestials, and we built essentially a star chart. So from a certain point in a year, roughly a month each, because as you can see written here, they also more or less represent the zodiac signs. We had periods where our Thurges in the game would say, oh no, tonight Rorg is watching over us, so we should do this kind of approach, for example. So it gave our Thurges a lot to work with. They just had these 12-page references, essentially, where they knew everything they needed to know about these Celestials, but one at a time. They didn't need to know the entire lore of the entire book. They just went, okay, this month we're this date, so this is the Celestine that's looking over us in the sky. Okay, perfect. I just browse through this quickly and I know what to say and I know how I'm going to sound mysterious tonight. That was the plan anyway. And I think it worked pretty well. A lot of my players were inspired by this, and there was a lot of roleplay that came from that approach. I had players who every month made offerings to these Celestines. Whoever was the Celestine that was currently prominent in the sky looking down on them would have some kind of offering or ceremony that my players came up with. I should specify it was a LARP. Most of my games are LARPs. And my players came up with these celebrations, with these offerings, with these ways to show deference and respect and gain the support and patronage of these very powerful beings. And we had a hell of a lot of fun with that. So I would say not the most relevant Celestines in terms of maybe you as a storyteller bringing them in terms of having a story based around them. But in terms of flavor, especially for your Thurges, I would say definitely get your hands on Rage Across the Heavens and just get inspired by this book. Get inspired by these beings who are essentially godlike things that can influence your Garu's life in all kinds of subtle and invisible ways, so that your Thurges can go, well, you see, this happened because of X thing. It gives them inspiration of how to bullshit mystical things. Pluto be like, I have the answers. It's really too bad I'm no longer a planet. Yeah, but I think it's Pluto was still a planet by then. Yeah, he's right there. The celestial in question is Meros. So yeah, in Werewolf, it's still a planet. I will put these guys away now because they're not going to be relevant for the rest of the conversation. But I did want to point them out because they're very cool. There's a lot of interesting lore in the book that I recommend most storytellers who wants to give flavor, take information, not information, but inspiration from there. They're super good for that, not so much for stories. So those are the 4 Celestines we're going to stick with for the rest of the conversation. And each of these, as I said, have broods. And it's one of the reasons I want to cover this today because it felt like the broods got confused or outright changed in the game at the very least. Like, for example, the spirits kept saying that we're backing the wild, or we need to do this so that this person goes back to the wild, or this spirit is a wild spirit, and no, it's not. Everything that was said has been things related to Gaia and Earthblood. None of what was mentioned anywhere in this game so far had anything to do remotely with the wild, and yet they kept coming back to it. So we're going to try to clarify that a little bit. Once again, it's fine that they did it. I'm just stating how it is in the books. So the next layer of spirits, those who essentially toil under these 4 Celestines, are the incarnate. And there are a lot of them. You've got, first and foremost, those who work under Gaia, and they are essentially the totems, or what we're now trying to refer to as patrons. These specifically are the tribal patrons, but there's also all of these guys. So essentially, whenever you open a book and you look through the patrons, any single one of those people, including certain that you would think would be under the Wild or the Weaver, they're not. They're all under Gaia. For example, Cockroach, which I don't understand why he wouldn't be under the Weaver, but no, he's under Gaia. I'm thinking the idea is that they didn't want to create entire broods for the Wild and the Weaver because they really don't have one. They got a couple of spirits in their broods, but none of them have any incarnate. The worm, however, has all of this. But one thing at a time. Let's dissect these first. So, the totems under Gaia are the totems that werewolves, or most changing beings anyway, will tie themselves to in a myriad of ways. These are the guys that show up. These are the folks that show up when you make a pack, when you build a cairn, or when you end up, for example, making your own. If you end up with a personal totem, for example, these are the ones that show up and will accept to become your spiritual patron or the patron of the sept. So that's already one thing that's different from the game. As you might see, Ifen is not written anywhere here, nor is Pukau, or I don't remember the name of that weird bone snake thing. That's not to say, however, that you're gonna have, let's say, Stag himself literally bound to your cairn, because that doesn't make any sense. If Stag himself was the patron of your cairn, then he wouldn't be able to also be the patron of the tribe he's a patron of. He wouldn't be able to for example, be the patron of several packs all around the world who have him as their patrons. So what happens is that when one of these guys show up to be a patron to either a sept or a pack or a person, they essentially send someone who's a representative. They create sort of copies of themselves, less powerful copies of themselves, spirits that would essentially fall under the next categories that we're going to talk about later, the jagglings, who will represent them in their dealings with you. These totems will not be exact replicas. They will be part of them or an aspect of them. In the same way as we've discussed before, Gaia can be in several places in the Umbra. She can be the dragon that exists in the wild realm, whose name I can't remember right now, the Flux. And she can also be the hurt, dying lady at the bottom of the well in the Summerland. Same thing with these guys. They are powerful enough that they can also split themselves into smaller spirits that are aspects of themselves. And those are the spirits that will show up to be patrons of a cairn. So you could, in theory, have, well, not in theory, you would have a new spirit with a name and an identity as, for example, the totem of a sept. The difference is that Ifen doesn't fit any of these. Ifen is a very weird bunch of sticks and has no face, is an indistinct form essentially, which is a lot closer to the kind of spirits you would find under the Wild's Brood, which are things like rays of lights or indistinct maelstroms of all four states of matter existing consequently, like liquids, solids, plasma, and gaseous states, just weird vortexes of all of this shifting across all of them together, and just looking at them will make you go mad and lose your mind. That's the kind of weird spirits that exist in the wild. So whenever you get something that's just weird, hard to define, essentially doesn't have a clear form, usually that is a spirit that is part of the wild. So that's more or less the problem with Ifen and the snake thing we saw. Well, the snake thing we saw a little less. Could be an aspect of Uktena. That could work. Ifen, I've just no idea where to put it in terms of any of these incarnate written there on this page. He doesn't fit anywhere in that. Yeah, and the other thing also is that if you remember last week or so, we discussed about how Ifen just teleported people into the Umbra. Well, if we're going back to the Celestine for a second, the only spirit able to do something like that is Sukta here. If you look at the Zodiac, once again, we're talking created the world level in terms of power. Those are the things that can pull you into an umbral realm for the length of a combat. And Ifen isn't even on this layer. Ifen is on the other next layer. So he's not at all anywhere near the power level where he should have been able to do that. Once again, adaptation, it's fine. Just giving you a clear picture. So let's remove the planets again because they're not relevant to our needs. So here we go. The incarnate, once again, they can be patrons to packs, to cairns, or to individuals. Under the guise of specific personas that that are being often created just for that purpose. But that specific persona cannot be all three or more than one. So let's say Ethan, just for the hell of the conversation, let's say Ethan was in Chimera's brood, for example. So it would be an aspect of Chimera as a Jagling. The next layer is a Jagling. He could be the Cairn totem, yes, but he would be spiritually bound specifically to the Cairn. He wouldn't be able to also be a pack totem or an individual totem. Same thing for the bone serpent that we've seen in Nevada. That one would not be able to be all three as it appears to be. It would be the Cairn totem and that's it, or the Pax totem and that's it. If you remember when I said several weeks ago that most Cairns have multiple packs, they have anywhere between 8 to 40 werewolves in them. So they have several packs who live on the sept and guard it. And each of those packs have their own individual patrons. And then the Cairn itself has another totem. By aspect you mean brood, because the brood can be a totem of a sept and pack, like Cuckoo is of Fenris, and looks nothing like him. That's a fair point. Yes, that's very fair. The theme that ties a spirit to its boss essentially won't necessarily be visual. That's a fair point. My argument with Ethan isn't that he looks like any of these guys, but more that he looks like something that would be under the wild specifically. But yes, he could be he could be a very let me rephrase that. A brood, for example, won't always make complete sense. The link will not always be visual. The link will sometimes be just thematic. We're going to see a bit more on that because I'm actually going to show Cockroach as brood a bit later, and we'll see that there's a theme, but it's not necessarily very obvious. But yes, Ethan theoretically could be could even be, for example, used to be part of the Wild's brood and defected to one of the other guys. These things happen. For example, there's a bunch of totems in the Worm's brood that used to be under Gaia but now serve the Worm. Or both even, like Bat is a totem that exists, and Lion exists in both broods. And it's the same, technically the same spirits, it's just different aspects of the same spirits. One of them serves Gaia, the other one serves the Worm. So there is some place to maneuver through here, and fair point, seen through that lens, maybe Ethan used to serve the Wild and is now a Gaian spirit, for example, could be under Chimera, that's where I would put it, and is now a Cairn totem. That would be one way to explain Ethan. That would make sense. However, I don't think that's what it is here, mostly because pretty much every spirits we've seen have been indistinct, essentially, even when they should have been distinct. Most of the spirits we've seen were spiritual reflections of a physical counterpart, like a bush or a tree. And they were just weird, indistinct forms. So my conclusion here is that when they made the game, they just didn't want to go into broods at all. They didn't mind any of that. They just created shapes that looked cool and called it a spirit, which is, again, it's fine. It's just not accurate. So while I can explain Ethan, I don't think he's actually under Chimera's brood. So that is for Gaia, with all of these guys. And then under the worm, you've got all of these guys. I didn't have cool glyphs for any of these, so I just wrote their names. We're not going to go into all of the details here, but quickly, there are two types of incarnate under the worm. You've got the male gen incarnate, which are the voice of the various incarnations of the worm. Voices of the elemental worms or voices of the urge worms. I'm not going to explain those because that could be half an hour by itself. And because I'm literally right now writing an entire probably 20-30 minutes episodes just on that. The third episode of my Wormlord video is literally explaining the urge worms. But essentially, suffice it to say that the worm as a Celestine has a hell of a lot of personas, and most of them aren't awake or aware enough to have agendas or a mind of their own, so instead they have incarnate speak on their behalf. So those are the male gen incarnates. So here you can see, for example, Toxin, Balefire, Smug, and Sludge. The top four, those are the worm elements, and the rest, cruelty, violence, despair, paranoia, indulgence, apathy, hatred, desire, and lies, are some of the urge worms, because the other ones are actually don't have an incarnate representative. On the other side, you have the Black Spiral Dancer patrons, which there's a lot fewer of than the Gaia counterpart. But remember, that's just one tribe, whereas Gaia has 13 of them. So each of those, of course, have their own broods under them. Every name you're seeing here, whether it's in the totem sides, like the Incarnate, Wendigo, Chimera, Falcon, or Bear, Black Unicorn, Bull, all of that, and each of the male gen, each of the totems, they all have their own broods, who are essentially of the Jagling level, which is the next layer of spirits. Jaglings are any specific spirits that are worth talking about. If they have a name, if they're aware, if they have a story, a background, if they have, they're able to have a conversation. Essentially, those are most likely Jaglings, and there's a whole bunch of them. Any elementals you see, most elementals you see will fall under that category. Banes would fall under that category. There's a lot. If you crack open a book and you see stats for spirits, that's a Jagling. And just to quickly, quote unquote, get rid of the next layer, the Gafflings, it's everything else. So a Gaffling would be any spirit not important enough to have its own stats or writing of their own. So Gafflings are spirits of a one specific flower, one specific blade of grass. It's the kind of spirit you can't even have a conversation with because they're just not evolved enough. They're essentially whatever background insignificant spirit that you come across, those are the Gafflings. So to go back on the Jaglings, there's, as you might imagine, there's a whole lot of them. The books are filled to the brim with them. And they are essentially split into several broods. As I said, all of the Incarnates will have their own broods. If you want to have an idea of what falls under a specific brood, the way to know that would be the book called Axis Mundi, for example, which is where I took a symbol brood for cockroach. These 5 spirits written here, Kilakakan, Gremlins, Mulacrante, Guardians of the Gate, and Scabbirds are 5 types of spirits that are Jaglings and who are under Cockroach's brood, Cockroach himself being in Gaia's brood. Gaia also has spirits that don't fall under an incarnate's brood and are just hers. For example, a Glade Child, which is a spirit of a tree, for example, those don't fall under, let's say, unicorn or cockroach or howl. Those are just directly under Gaia herself. So those would tend to be very natural spirits that have a very natural role. A tree spirit's role is pretty much just to exist, be there, and make oxygen. So those kind of spirits tend to just don't need a boss and just directly answer to Gaia herself. Most spirits that have a unique role, such as guiding the dead, for example, those would fall under an incarnate's brood. For example, Hal is the incarnate that has to do with anything about mysteries of death and exploring the Umbra and all of that. And it does have spirits whose job it is to guide the souls of the dead. Beyond that, there's some more or less accurate information in the books. Like, for example, loons are being stated as being Gaian spirits, which I feel was there just in the spirit of simplifications, because loons are very important spirits, and I don't think they wanted to go to the trouble of creating a brood just for Sukta, the moon, right? Because loons are literally the only spirits we know that should go in her brood. But I don't think the developers wanted to go there. It was just simpler to just put the loons in the list of Gaian spirits, but that is technically inaccurate. After that, if you want to know spirits that fall under the Wild's brood, once again, there are no incarnate there, only Jaglings and Gafflings, and those you can find them in the Book of the Wild. There's also a bunch that you can find in the W20 core book. Same thing for the Weaver. There are no incarnate there either. Just Gafflings and Jaglings, which you can find in the Book of the Weaver or in the Weaver Spirits section in the core book. The Wild Spirits on page 451, the Weaver ones that are in page 458. As for the Worm, as we discussed, he does have incarnates, several of them, and anything you see in a book that is referred to as a Bane is either a Jagling or a Gaffling that is in the Worm's brood. It's extremely unclear for most of them if they serve under a specific incarnate. They do. They absolutely do, but I would not be able to tell you which one fits in whose brood. The only book that hints in that direction is the Chronicle of the Black Labyrinth. Beyond that, just essentially don't bother. Just the Banes are there to be the villains. They're there to be evil, and it doesn't matter much whose brood they fall under, because unless you're playing Black Spiral Dancers, it's not going to matter much. I'm just going to take a quick second to go through my notes just to make sure I did not forget anything, and then I'll go through, of course, the chat. Or let me just start with the chat, actually. Terra says, some animals aren't claimed. Like, I don't think Fox is under any werewolf incarnate. No, Fox should be there. Maybe the list I have there isn't complete, but Fox is definitely a totem. It's right there. Totems of Cunning. So he's there. He's a werewolf. He's an incarnate himself. So he has his own brood, and he himself is part of Gaia's brood. But yes, however, to be clear, there are a lot of animals that are not in the book. Are they incarnate or not? I'd say would be open to interpretation. My interpretation would be that most of them would be animal fathers, which are essentially incarnate levels, indistinctly named animals. There are enough animals in each species in the world that they would all be spiritually relevant enough to have their own incarnate, and those would fall under Gaia. And to answer a point earlier about why shouldn't cockroach be under Gaia, that is a good point, except for two things. Cockroach is extremely weaver oriented in terms of being very technological and such, which is obviously very much more weaver themed. And insects are actually canonically of the weaver, which means theoretically they should serve the weaver, yet they don't. Any totems I've ever seen in a book that happen to be an insect has had, outside of cockroach, which has a weaver team, none of the other do. They're all Gaian spirits. I would assume that it's simply a matter of developers didn't really talk to each other, I guess. Because insects being under the weaver isn't a big theme in Werewolf. It's mentioned maybe in one or two books that came after a bunch of totems came out that happened to be insects. Like, for example, if we just look right here, we can see under the totems of wisdom, we've got dragonfly, which is an insect, and yet just plain and simply under Gaia. I would say, unless it's very, very relevant to your game, just ignore the fact that insects are supposed to be under the weaver, because there are too many examples where that has not been respected. Like flea is a totem of war under Gaia. So I would say just don't bother with that and assume insects are part of the animal kingdom, as they really should have been from the start, and are actually under Gaia, which makes it easier to see, to explain why cockroach is under Gaia. That's honestly, it's how it was from the start, and that's how it should have remained. I don't see the point of making insects part of Weaver's realm. Okay, so I'm just gonna go through my my notes just to see if I forgot something I wanted to say. I said everything I wrote for Celestines. I said everything I wanted to say about the Incarnate. Jacklings. Yes. Yes. Right. There are also other types of spirits. I'm not going to go into a lot of details here, but things like epiphlings, which are spirits of emotions, and there are also things that are known as ephemera, which are just there, I guess. It's the easiest way to describe ephemera. An ephemera is going to be a background inhabitant of any spiritual realm. So let's say you go into the Scar, which is essentially a realm that is the Industrial Revolution turned into a horrible nightmare. It's just endless factories where infinite workers are just working 18-hour days. They have maybe 15 minutes to eat and they go back to work. They are technically spirits. They're not actually humans. They're technically spirits, but they're not spirits that represent a particular concept. They don't represent love, for example, like an epith might. They don't represent anything tied to any of the incarnate. They're just the general population of the realm that are emanations of the realm itself. Because the scar is not the scar if there aren't a billion workers suffering in it. The realm itself needs these ephemera to exist, and therefore they do. Those spirits, epiphs and ephemera, honestly, I have no idea if they fall into a brood. I would say they don't, except some things like epiphs of hatred or violence or murder and things like that. Those spirits would most likely be banes, so they would fall under some brood or another of a male jinn, most likely, which itself falls under the worm. But most other epiphs and ephemera, I would say, just kind of exist, and I don't think they are part of anyone's particular brood. Outside of course, the let's call them microbroods. If you go into, let's say, the epith of love, like the world that is the world of love, like or the world of I don't know, glory, for example. Those are worlds you can travel to in the Umbra. They would be filled by spirits that represents various aspects of glory or love, if we're going with those two things. But there would also be one spirit in charge, one spirit that's the boss of that particular realm. That spirit is most likely a very strong juggling. I'm not sure I would say it could reach the level of incarnate, but maybe some are. It's very vague, it's not super clear. And that spirit would, every other spirits in that realm would be part of its brood, which I guess would be a distinct thing from all the broods we've already discussed. Terria says, wouldn't the Umbra realm have a spirit? Thus, ephemera would be the brood. Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm making it up as I go, actually, because that's not super well covered in the books. And I've almost never played with epiphs, so it's really not my forte. But yeah, no, you're correct. I think that's how it would be. Yeah. But you do have ephemera, however, that are not necessarily part of a particular realm. You can have ephemera in the penumbra, which is the closest layer. If you're walking, let's say, in a busy street, and you see a lot of cars going about and a lot of humans going about, even in the Umbra, for example, because that's the resonance of the place, and it's resonant enough that even the penumbra will have those things in them, despite these things not being direct representations of specific physical things. Those would be ephemera. Those would be things the Umbra itself is generating because it needs cars. That's what this place is about. Those would be ephemera of, I guess, of the world itself, or the Umbra itself. And those would be temporary spirits, most likely, and I guess technically they would be somewhere in Gaia's brood, but not in a relevant way, I guess. So that was a lot. Let me just continue quickly. Right. I wrote notes as well in terms of the spirits of this game in particular. So, in this game, most of the spirits we've seen have been spirits with direct physical counterparts like mushrooms and bushes. Those would be gafflings, and those actually shouldn't even be there. Things like mushrooms and plants do have spirits, but the spirits are just dormant. You have to do a rite called the Rite of Awakening for that spirit to be there in the Umbra, and be able to be interactable with. But for some reason in this game, we just walk around and sniff mushrooms, and the spirit's there for some reason. It shouldn't be, unless someone specifically awakened that bush, which doesn't make sense. The trees we spoke to should have been glade childs, and once again, they can do whatever they want. But as I explained last week, I think if it's in the core book, it's fair to know that it's there and to use it. And I mean, the glade childs are on page 368. They're not exactly an obscure lore that is something that non-fans would have a hard time wrapping their heads around. The other spirits we've met, some are just there. The random spirits we talk to that look like weird alien/insect things, that keep saying things like, oh, the worm is coming and stuff like that. Those don't have a direct physical counterpart, so those are most likely jaglings. And in a cairn, those would most likely Gaian spirits or nature spirits. So they would most likely be more defined than what we've seen. They would most likely be part of the brood of the patron of the sept. So let's say, for example, Ethan was under Chimera's brood, then you would most likely naturally find spirits from Chimera's brood in the sept, drawn to a familiar spirit, having a familiar bond with that spirit. They would just gather around them. Other spirits that tend to be found in a sept are spirits that the master of the rite or the keeper of the land have made deals with to get them to move on to the sept, to help protect it. Those can be anything, so fair enough, I guess. But you would expect them to be usually either elementals or Gaian spirits, because that's really all there is. None of the wild spirits are things you can talk to. They're just far too random, so you can't really deal with them. You just avoid them as much as you can because they tend to cause a lot of chaos. And weaver spirits, I guess, could be a thing, especially in a Glasswalker sept, but that is not what we've had so far. So the weird nondescript cross alien with insect things that we've seen so far, I don't know what they are. Again, could be under Chimera's brood, I suppose, would be, if I had to put them somewhere, I guess that would be where I would put them. But once again, they're ill-defined. They don't seem to represent a particular concept, so it's hard to say where they actually fit. I'm forced to use their appearance as a reference, but as we've discovered, and as we've elaborated through this point, appearance is not actually an element in these things. If we go back to cockroach under jaglings, if you can look at your screen, cockroach has gremlins in its brood. I see the theme. It's technological, but gremlins don't look remotely like cockroaches. So once again, just because they look weird is not necessarily a good reason to put them under Chimera's brood. But yeah, that's another issue in and of itself, though, because spirits tend to have a particular role or represent something specific, and those spirits just don't. So what are they? it's cool that there are spirits, but you're kind of missing an entire layer if you're not giving them a specific, if they're not spirits of something, like the spirit of the lake, or a spirit of that stands for honor, or anything like that. The gremlins have a specific reason to be. They mess things up. They break technology. That's a specific concept, is the word I guess I'm trying to say. Spirits have a specific concept, and maybe the spirits we met in this game did, but the game did not elaborate or show them in any way, so I feel like we're missing out on some potentially interesting depth that is definitely there in the book. There are many pages, hundreds of pages in the books about specific spirits, what they represent, how they work, and all of that, and instead we just got generic spirits. Again, it's fine. I assume they didn't want to go into that kind of detail. They didn't want to overwhelm players. There are many reasons to do it. It's just a bit sad for me as a fan of Werewolf, because spirits are a very cool part of the game, and it wasn't really represented in Earthblood. What are the name of prey animal spirits again? Do you mean the not the wild hunt? There's wild in the name for sure. There, if you want to look into in the book, in the section about gnosis, they are, instead of being an actual spirit that's listed in the list of spirits, they're actually defined specifically in the section about regaining gnosis. That's what they're for, but it should still have been listed under the spirits, because I always look for them and I never find them until I remember, oh gosh, that's right, I need to look somewhere that has nothing to do with spirits. Okay, so I hope you're all still awake and ready to go bash some worm creatures' faces, because we are back and ready to play. So that was over an hour on spirits. Okay, there we go. So last time we were playing and we were trying to find shrines, essentially the local red talons and one single Uktena. They have shrines to their totem, which is Pachua, I think, which is definitely the Karen totem, but it's also apparently the pack and the personal totem of someone here. So once again, that should have been 3 different spirits, but I understand why they did it in this particular case, because you don't want to overwhelm players with 72 different spirits. So it's fine, it makes sense, I get it. And it's either that, or you don't mention that, for example, Karens have totems, and that packs have totems, and that specific individuals can have totems. So at least they gave that bit of the lore. They just changed the fact that those should have been completely different spirits. Now you may be wondering why I'm going towards the quest. That's because I did some research, and I found where the 5th shrine is. It's on the other side of this facility, which I would have never guessed, because why would it be there? I mean, shrines should be on the sept. So the implication here is that not only did Pentex manage to make its sept, to make it this thing super close to a red talon cairn, but literally put it inside the cairn spawn where before they were there, some red talons used to put the shrines where they venerate their totems.
Why do you ask?
Just curious. Does he wonder where Endron finds the money to buy all these labs?
That's not much of a mystery. You know Pentex, right? Endron's one of their subsidiaries. They've got more money than they could ever need.
So Pentex is being a lot more successful in this game than they tend to be in Werewolf. Because that would be a major victory right there. Okay, so... Yay, no one saw this. Nice. I'm going straight for the shrine, by the way. Then we'll come back and do some actual damage. It's been a while since chat said anything. Would anyone just please just say anything at all, just so I know I'm still connected and everything is fine? Come on, buddy. Get the heck out. Ooh, that's bad game design, and this is the second time we've done this. And then again, you should put... Yeah, I agree. It's, it encourages exploration, but... Witty my burnt cards. Right, I didn't mention that. You're right. I know this is one of Stanel's favorite storyline that we've done in Werewolf. Okay, I'm gonna try to dash here. There we go.
Hello? I'm gonna take a look.
Okay. Okay. That was actually quite the story. But first, let's talk about the game design aspect of this. Ideally, you don't want to give your players cause to just waste their time and just walk around for hours searching for something they will never find. So if you want to have your hidden stuff hidden somewhere that essentially you want to communicate to your players in some way that they shouldn't look into one specific area, or that they can expect something to be hidden far or anywhere. Like, there are plenty of games with collectibles that are hidden everywhere, and that you know to look not just near your hub and things like that, but it's usually obvious by the context, obvious by the map layout, or obvious by the description of the quest. In this game, they specifically told me to go look for something that should be only inside of a cairn, at least for, you know, if you're familiar with shrines, at least. Because I would assume someone who's less familiar with Werewolf would not have assumed the same things I did, and may have actually think to look here. Because a lot of games would have used similar design before. It's not a rare or unique design. It's just been presented in a way that me, as a veteran Werewolf player, would never have assumed to look there for it. Okay. So these guys are still looking for me.
Let's make
that's right. So those blow up. Yes. Sorry, I'm trying to fight and read at the same time, but Terraria is absolutely right. Considering all 4 of the previous ones were inside of the sept proper, or very close to it, it's reasonable to assume they're all going to be there as well. So, not ideal level design on that front. Let's finish this in heavy. We were starting to experiment with heavy. That's a very strong attack. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the next skill is going to be, because I mean, it's strong, but it's not as strong as our, let's say, level 4 attack that we have with the agile form, which makes sense because it's the last one. Since we're here, let's do at least that one objective, because it looks like it's right there. But let's read it, because I forgot what we were here to do. Prepare to raid on the Endron HQ. Clean out the outposts and hack the terminals. Kahal got here too late. Endron had time to administer their treatment to Edina before taking her elsewhere. However, while escaping, the Fianna warrior came up with one of his kind. Onawa, the leader of the pack of Red Talons. Okay, so that's probably where we want to go. But yes, the Korax thing. So, okay, let's bring you all into my world for a minute. A long time ago, almost 20 years ago, actually, at this point, my first werewolf LARP. I ran a story, which I will recount after this. Report, EMD 2112, Division 4, blah, 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 blah. For the attention of the Division 2, have begun energy extraction process in the outposts of the site. Yields consistent with forecast. See Annex. Preparations for the implementation of Earthblood protocol field tests are underway.
This was sent when we were attacking the fracking site.
Ava, I've cleared out the outpost and connected you to the network.
Good. I'll try and take control of Endron HQ's surveillance system. I've learned more about the Earthblood protocol. The stuff they're injecting into their soldiers acts directly on their immune system.
This
Seems like
outpost
the
is
experiment
ours.
they've been
Let's see what we
conducting
can bring
has
back
to
to
do
the
with
base.
protocol too.
This looks deactivated, so that's fine by me. Okay, so I'm going to go bring back the quest just to be 100% sure that I'm going to be allowed to. Yes, that's what I'm doing, Terry. I really just did that particular objective because I was right there. Are those my guys? Yeah, those are my guys. Okay. So, back then, everything I just explained about the spirits wasn't all that clear to me, so some of what I might explain now may seem a tad outrageous. But long story short, I allowed my players to kill one of the male Jinn incarnate back then. More about this after the quest.
I see that you have paid your respects at my territory shrines. Good. Return to me later. I'm sure that I'll have more for you to do.
Okay, 7 points. I think we're gonna take a minute to finish maxing our heavy form. Unstoppable War. Rush, Knowledge, and Rage. Oh, okay, cool. We wanted more Fury while in heavy. And Baylor's Grasp. Wait, do we need this first? No, I don't care about that one. Okay. The Cross inflicts damages and... Alright, that's the one. Okay. So what happened essentially is that a local hive of Black Spiral Dancers who were essentially venerating the Urgeworm of Apathy actually had the male Jinn in their hive. Don't ask me why, that makes no sense, but I didn't know that back then. So what happened is that the players managed to, because you have to think this is a LARP, right? So it's not just a single pack. So there were like dozens of werewolves in the same fight, not just one pack. So they ganged up on the male Jinn incarnate and managed to bring its essence down to 0, dealing enough damage for that. And what they did, because they couldn't kill it because it's a spirit, it would just reform elsewhere. What they did is that they forced it into a fetish.
Nice work on those outposts.
More about this. More after this.
Don't worry.
Okay. And once the male Jinn was inside the fetish, they did a lot of spiritual research to find what kind of object would be able to house the incarnate inside of itself, that kind of thing, so that it would make actual sense. What they did after that is that they took a trip in the Umbra to... Those are automated, right? So I can't let it see me. Let's try something risky, because I need to... I want to find out where I can deactivate them. They took a trip in the Umbra in a realm known as the Abyss, where if you throw something in a part of the Abyss that's really the Abyss proper, it's called the Abyss and it's inside the Abyss, so it's a bit confusing, but it is what it is. Things just cease to be. So they threw... Oh. And now you're not active, but you are. Interesting. But you are too. Okay. So they threw the fetish in the Abyss, and by the same logic, the male Jinn ceased to be as well. Pretty sure what I'm looking for is going to be in that room, and my objective is there too. So you know what? Let's go there. Wait, what's that objective? Oh wow, there's another secondary. Okay, we'll do this because we're next to it, and then we're gonna go again back out. I'm just gonna finish the story because the game's gonna keep throwing stuff my way. And their guide to get there was a Corax. I forget his name, but I'm pretty sure Stanley's going to remember what the Corax name was. And one of the main problem when you get into the Abyss is that if you look at it, if you just glance at it, you have to roll to see if you fall into a spiritual depression known as Harano, because you're literally looking at nothing, like complete absence of existing. The Abyss is a very depressing place to be in. And if you fall in Harano, then you can't leave the realm. The realm won't let you leave. So what happened is that their guide, the Corax in question, failed his role. So he fell in Harano and couldn't leave the realm for a long time. And my players continued in their adventures for a while. They had all kinds of other stories and tales and glorious adventures. And eventually one of them figured out a way to help the Corax leave the realm. I don't remember how they pulled it off. They found a tricky way to just kind of teleport him out. I don't remember exactly how they did it, but he did. But he was still in Harano. And I don't remember the logic at the time that we had. But what they did to make the Corax, to allow this Corax to stop be in Harano, is they decided to bring him in front of Helios himself. Why Helios? Well, for starters, he's the patron of the Corax, the way that Luna is the patron of werewolves, right? So that's one thing. And also, Helios is one damn good source of purification. Let's just say it like that. Pretty much his whole thing. So they figured if someone can cleanse him of this depression, it would be Helios. So it's one of Stanel's favorite stories. What they did is they traveled into the ethereal realm. They went through all the hoops of managing to reach the sun itself in the ethereal realm, which is stupidly dangerous. Werewolves don't soak fire all that well. They're not as bad as vampires, but it's not that easy. So you have to soak a whole bunch of aggravated fire damage as you try to reach the sun, representing flares. And usually when you see images of the sun, there's always these bits of fire rings and things like that around it. So this is the spiritual representation of that. You need to survive going through that in order to reach Helios himself. And they successfully did that. However, as I recall correctly, Stanel's character... Yes, exactly. She did manage to soak the fire at that time. She had a gift, I recall, Master of Fire or something like that. So she was pretty wounded, but she was more or less okay. But the Corax, however, was not dead, but filled with aggravated damage. So, like, he would die if he just sneezed. Well, you would still need technically another aggravated damage to kill him off, but he was in a very, very bad state. Full up to incapacitated in aggravated damage, but he had still, very flush, had managed to survive crossing over. So, and there's even a picture of this. One of my players drew the scene, but there's Stanel's character holding this pretty much dead, fuming little bird, because the Corax was born a bird, so he reverted to breed form, up to the sun, up to Helios, and just pleading Helios to heal him, to purify him, and Helios did. Oh, yes, that's right. You were the chosen of Fire Falcon. That's right. That's why you survived. You had right. No, you had a gift because you were chosen. That's right. A very high gift. I forget. I think it's rank 4, even though it was above your rank. But it was one of the gifts just given by the totem, more or less, to your character. So you were very good at soaking fire. That's right. I remember now. Yeah. And what happened essentially is that the sun agreed to cleanse him. So he just purified the Korax by his cleansing fire, which is a thing. There's literally a fetish in the book called Sliver of Helios, which is literally just a sun drop, and whatever you put that on will just be utterly and completely frickin' cleansed. So essentially Helios did that. Like, it wasn't the sun drop, it was literally the sun just grabbing him and just burning him so much it cleansed him and healed him. Just that, don't try to make sense of it. That's spirits. And what I did at the time, I was inspired by the move, and I had read the Korax book not all that long ago, and the Koraxes used to be white. And in their legends, at one point, they made the sun so happy that the sun gave them all a hug, which burnt them to a crisp, which is why today they are black. So what I did then is that I reverted that. The Korax in question was healed of his Harano and reverted to the Korax's original form. He was white again instead of black. So yeah, it was one of the one of the stories that we will all fondly remember. Maybe one day I'll bring the book with all the drawings that the players made of that game. It would be one of the cool ones to see. So back to our game. Dr. Lesterman, Major Grainer, sustained severe injuries to the arm during a confrontation with a local pack here in Nevada. We had no other choice but to amputate her arm. According to instructions from President Watkins, we're repatriating the Major to your laboratories so that you can equip her with the latest Division 2 prosthetics. Priority operation. The Major must rejoin your division as soon as possible. Is that? How recent is that?
The first time I saw her, she was with Orlov. She
Okay.
just had surgery.
Good. Because if you were telling me that she was already back from the Umbra... Okay, now I need to cleanse the place. I wanted a computer, though, to shut off the... There's a gate there. There's a gate... nope, there is no gate there. Game, help, come on. Cooperate. How do I... Okay, like that.
We got a hostile.
No, we don't. Just run, for God's sakes! I hate when they keep changing the walking speed, running speed, and dash and all of that on me. This was timed. I knew what I was doing. I was going for the guy.
Ready for anything. Be ready for anything. Don't let him get away. The hell? Security.
Hotel was dead. I was wrong. Fighting with the camera more than I am with this guy, but oh, that's what this was. Really? Well, we're still going in there. Oh. Ah.
Well
Helicopter's
done.
coming.
I'm almost through their defenses. Keep going. Endron's headquarters has been pretty active lately. Seems like our attacks on their outposts haven't gone unnoticed. They're gonna bulk up their defenses.
Just want to make sure I don't miss out on sniffs. Although, I don't care anymore. I've already got all the skills I wanted. Alright, let's go talk to the Lieutenant Lady then. Blue Jay Corax? I don't think so. Does not ring a bell anyway. Could be a weird / rare offshoot. There are a bunch of those. Hello, ma'am.
The minor spirits of our territory are too weak to withstand the worm. If
Whose
you
fault
want
is
to
that?
help them, send them to Pachua. He will offer them his protection and care. Go now.
Okay, so now we have. Okay. Let's not do this for the super obtuse shrines, but let's absolutely do this now. Well, at least they're spirits that are far, I guess. Well, not far, but they're at least this time they're letting us know that we should look for them inside of the worms. The Pentex's outpost, I mean.
Go to Pachua. He is waiting for you.
See, those are the ones I
Thank
was
you,
talking
warrior of
about.
Gaia. I would have fallen prey to the worm.
They're not spirits who are representations of a physical object. Okay, but they're just telling me where two of them are. My assumption is that I can't reach the other ones yet. Maybe that's the way the game is. That's the game's way of letting me know that. Yeah, those spirits got some, yes.
Suffer no longer. Go to Pachua. He will keep you from the worm's reach.
I stood at the edge of the abyss. Thank you for calling me back.
Yeah. Okay. Or maybe it's just showing me those because I walked near them. That could be it. Okay. Any sniffs in the air? Yes, some over there.
Okay, just stay calm. They'd never attack us. Not out in front of their HQ like this. Deep breaths.
Okay, doesn't look like I can go there yet. That's right, I said I did not care about sniffs. My, my nature is showing up right now. I have a hard time not collecting everything. Huh. I didn't even know. Oh. Oh, that's cute. That's cute. Alright. We'll do at least this one. That was cute. That is an excellent question, Terraria, and I do not have the answer to that. Okay, let's go back. Finish the other two spots. So I think, I wasn't paying that much attention, but I think what they were saying is that the more spots I do, the more security there's going to be. So we need to be careful about these things. Okay, I missed. No, that's a spirit I can't go to yet. There's two here. Oh, hello. That's right, we're looking for you.
Spirit. He will protect you.
You have my gratitude, warrior of Gaia.
Yeah, I think I'm going to choose to agree with that. We don't need the XP, and it sounds like they're being a tad repetitive on the themes they're exploring with the side quests here, so I don't think there's going to be much more in terms of lore to explore. You're going to be seen, aren't you? I don't care. Haha. Come on, just move it then. Oh, come up to me, that's even better. Oh, really? That's just like literally look in the worst position ever. Come on, turn around, buddy. Turn around, buddy. Like, around. Like, look completely elsewhere. You can do it. There we go. Are we going to successfully sneak a zone after all this time? Of course we're gonna turn around. Of course we're gonna turn around. Just shift around. Just a bit. There we go. Okay, this one I did just for pleasure. just to successfully sneak someplace once again. It's been a while. But the camera is not moving, that's why I didn't bolt it. Is the bolting permanent or temporary? This takes us back. That's right, yeah, we really don't need to do that. Oh, I can't. It won't let me bolt it because I successfully killed everyone. Well, that's not optimal. Version 2, extraction, forecast, version. We've seen that one before. We don't need you. You're a sniff. All of them folks are right in front of me.
I've checked the minefield. All clear.
Perfect. I want to report every hour. HQ's orders.
Do you think they redid a sweep just so that places can now be stealthable again? Because I'm finding this very easy to sneak around for once. Do you remember this room, Terraria? Was it that easy to... Where's the guy? I'm missing a guy. There we go. Oh, he's a Fumarai. Should finish with him then, just to see if I... Let's say maybe I can't take him out for one reason or another.
What is that?
All units, get over here.
Ah, come on.
Stay on your guard.
Okay, so I can. So thank you for, you know, clipping the body through. Whatever, it's fine. It worked in the end. That's okay. Okay, so objective appears to be right there. This one is completely over me. All right. So stairs then. Same layout for you. Okay. Yes, I'll take that. Thank you. See no reason to sneak about in those vents. Principle. Let's turn off what we can. Encountering difficulties on the ground. Local pack is posing problems. Attacks endangering the calendar communicated by the board of directors. I've installed a minefield around the perimeter wall of our outpost to keep them at a distance. Recommend the return of Major Grainer to the site. Despite her injury, she managed to have them on the ropes. With her, victory will be ours.
This report was printed shortly after I reunited with Adana.
Tyriara is referring to what our very noob werewolves did in that game we keep referencing. No. We need to go up. Wait, it doesn't go up. Does this go up? Let's hope it does. Okay. I do like the level design though. Right. Sad.
With that, I should have access to the HQ's camera network. I'll keep you posted. I've managed to stop the oil pumping. Their machines have all gone quiet. I just wish I could see the look on those intern execs' faces.
Okay, people, you know the drill. Grab everything you can. Rations, equipment. Useful, you take it.
It's sad, because I like the little guy. And see, this is beautiful. This is nice. Nice sun effect, I guess. And the last spirit. Alright. Since we have it, might as well.
Go to Pachua. He will welcome you and protect you from the worm.
Thank you for your guidance. The call of the worm drowns out all else.
Since we have it, I'll bring it back. Okay, that's interesting. So Terraria says this is where he stopped playing. Where does this go? Just trying to find my way back. I assume you mean after whatever's gonna happen at the next objective. So I assume something happened that displeased you, so I will be mentally prepared. No? Okay.
You have helped Pachua grow in power. I thank you.
Any other quests?
What is it?
Nope.
I'll be back later.
Alright. Wait, what? Oh, there was one missing out. I thought I had... Okay, my bad. I thought I did all four. I stopped after... Okay, I see. Well, that's fair. I mean, you did most of the game, so you're in a position to know if you enjoyed it enough to want to continue. That's fair. And there are plenty of games that I've personally stopped after far less time than we've collectively put into this already. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to need a bio brick, so I'm going to get close to the next objective and like right there next to the door, and I will be back in a few minutes, not too long, just a quick bio break, and we will pick it up from there. Be right back. Right. And I know that Nuxifram has a vivid imagination, so I'm sure he's very troubled right now. Thanks for coming, though, bro. It's always fun seeing you. Looking forward to our next dive in Borderlands. Okay, so I just need to get there and kill everyone. Now, here's the plan.
Eco-terrorists are out of the way. We've got some
just gonna
wolves to
listen
kill.
to him.
Their time will come. Until it does, they're not a threat to us.
So the plan, because my best friend's in the chat and he says kill everyone with rage, and I'm actually full of rage right now, so stealth is out the window. Stealth is not going to happen this time. They actually react to pain now. Is this because I'm in heavy, or I don't think they reacted to pain when I was in heavy before. Okay, let's go back to nope, they don't. Okay, so heavy does have an advantage where enemies now react to pain. I don't think they did before though. I'm pretty sure I tried it in the past, but who's next? Bit awkward. Kill the rage. Did you ask them before if they felt pain? Oh, the guy. Well, if there had been a line of dialogue, I might have tried asking them. But I didn't see one. But no, mostly I'm kidding. I'm just being a bit silly there. So am I. It's fine. I'm just messing with you. Taking your sentence way too seriously. But it's still something, though, that... I mean, now... If the heavy form does that, now I feel like it's a form that could be actually pretty good. But I'm sure it didn't do that before, so...
The first time I saw her, she was with Orlov.
Yep, you said
she
that
just
before,
had surgery.
Wait, so we can go up there. Because from the outside, the door was not something I could open, so I'm just curious now, what's in the office up there?
Now we're talking.
Okay. Really? That's it? Alright. Let's finish this.
It's done. I'm getting a feed from their HQ's cameras. It's time for us to attack. Go check in with Declan.
Jump charging. Don't care. Slow mo, don't care. Really don't care. More rage. I might like that. Cornels cannot use a dash attack while in the air. Power stump. Stump's area of effect. What is stump? Oh, I can't even try it. Okay. That's one of the problems with not allowing me to shift when I wish. Okay, so this one's just one. Yeah, well, okay. If you say it's fun, I can start making my way there, but I'm probably gonna take that eventually, though, if we get enough points.
Make a list of everything they've done to the environment here. More fuel for the fire.
Okay. Is there anything close? Yes.
We have won this battle. I wonder what Onawa would say.
Stop frickin' shifting me back. I'm trying. Anyway, that's fine. I missed it, didn't I? Nope. It's right there. Well, I'm all for that. More fluid combat, so let's give that a try. Boom. Okay, so it sounds like a skill I never used, the stump. So I assume it's if I jump and attack, something like that. Second from the bottom left. Okay, so I did have it. I mean, this is the left, second from the bottom left. What am I missing here? Because I just bought it. While he answers, just gonna grab the ones that are on my way. Bought it the first time. Okay, so the one you were talking about was actually the those are vaguely placed, yo. Okay.
We've taken more losses. They attacked us near the gate to the HQ service.
So the one that you say is more fluid is okay. I'll give it a shot. Okay, that's enough. Okay, so it was can now use a dash attack while midair. Figure it out. I'm not sure what they mean by dash attacks, so. The first one allows you to get out of a lot of people attacking you at once and also jump then charge to get on ledges. Okay. So essentially is I jump and I press shift to dash, I guess, while in midair and it doesn't attack at the same time or something like that. Which, indeed, if it allows me to get out of people gathered up around me, that would be a great thing to have, yeah.
We've got full control of the outposts, and Ava stopped their machines. They're not pumping oil anymore, that's for sure. Now there's just the HQ left.
I'll take care of it. Alone.
I get it. Good luck.
Ava, I'm at the gate to their HQ's maintenance zone.
Get moving. Every second counts.
Y'all seem a tad chill.
They've taken all our outposts, and they're coming for us next. Let's show them what a mistake that is.
Huge, huge mistake. Yep, yep. I feel very much in danger. Yep. Oh, he's gone. Fine. Yep, yep. Oh, I feel all the danger. All of it. Yep. Ah, shit. No. I'm hearing wolf howls. At least the turrets don't see me. Could be, yeah. I'm aware of one other fight against other werewolves that have been spoiled in the chat room, unfortunately. It could be that, but I'm not going to mention what it is. Yeah, but I mean, I'm in all sorts of werewolf chat rooms, so I mean, it was bound to happen. Not too sad about it. I mean, like, if I had been spoiled, for example, Heart of the Forest, that I would have been sad about. Alright. We're stealthing again, y'all. Oh, we're just back here. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, it's a more narrative game, so it would have been sad to not at least experience for the first time fully immersed, I guess. Captain Fetigus. Encountering difficulties on the ground. Yep, nope.
This report was printed shortly after I reunited with Adana.
Yep. We know, buddy. You said that the first 2 or 3 times. This is my objective, but it's closed. Good point. Sometimes I say stupid stuff. Hey, buddy. Yes. You're a warrior.
What?
Forgot I could bark, and this is actually kind of useful. I probably need to go up there, but first let's, finish off everyone, because for once, I actually can get away with it. I think they really just made these stealth sections far easier. Sounds like the kind of place we would put a sniff in. I can, but it's right there. Good point, though, in the sense that if it hadn't been there, I would have done that. That was a good idea, and I forget that I can do that. Oh, we're gonna zone, aren't we? Yeah, we're getting
Wait
in
for
the
me,
HQ
HQ.
now.
I'm coming.
Oh, no, we're not. Okay. Agreed. Yeah. Not a perfect mechanic, but it does at least give the Umbra a reason to be. The Umbra vision, I mean. Now we looked. Okay. Yeah. Because it makes a certain amount of sense. Because in an actual werewolf game, you would have spoken to electric spirits or just the spirit of the keyboard or something like that to get stuff done. But it's a simpler way of representing that. So it at least covered that aspect of werewolf in some form.
Have you found Watkins yet?
I don't have eyes on him, but I'm sure he's upstairs. Go.
All units, kill anyone trying to enter the HQ. We'll have the outposts back under our control soon enough. It's only a matter of time.
You hear that? To your posts!
The signal is coming from an office upstairs. Find a way to reach it.
That is a lot of folks. Gonna try to remove at least a couple before I reach. No. It's a lot of werewolves are more modern than we give them credit for. Like, Fenrir are fond of guns, for example, not just warhammers and stuff like that. I mean, it's their thing, warhammers, just as the Labris is the...
What the hell?
Is the... Black Fury's thing, but...
Picked another job.
Elevators is not a big thing. Any other spirits in this room? Several, it seems like.
What?
It's gonna make this way too easy, isn't it? Well, to show off, sure.
Stay vigilant. Weapons ready. Make him hurt.
I don't like
I mean, some people are definitely not comfortable in an elevator, so you definitely wouldn't want to be alone with a werewolf who doesn't feel safe in an elevator. But
We're not running a zoo here.
no, you're not. Should put this. There you go. I got this. Okay, but I saw several sniffs in this very room, so I'm gonna take them so I can get the extra rage. Because if they're there, why not? Next one is... Yep, I think I see it right there. There we go. And I think there is also a fourth one. Okay, this one's in the next room, which is fine.
Fuck! It's locked.
There's a terminal close by. I'll get you through somehow.
Guess I missed it. Where are you, spirit? That's weird. I don't see it. Alright, never mind. Never mind. Okay, so there's nothing I can do here. This is locked. Ready?
I'll make good use of that.
Alright, I suppose I'm gonna try this thing there. And this should take me back where I was, so that's not useful. Okay, well, maybe it is. There's a way up, then. No. Anyone seeing something I'm not? Oh, the other door. Fine. This is all too easy.
You're going to have to take the long route. That's all I can do from here.
Good enough.
Probably gonna get seen, but I don't care. Didn't even see that guy. Didn't know. Fighting against cameras in video games, not the best way of making a joke. There. Yep. To be fair, it's probably hard to set up. It's just, I don't know, after so many decades of making video game, I don't know, maybe I'm being entitled here, but I kind of expect cameras to be something that video games would have mastered by now. Next one, I guess, is going to be that. So that my frenzy is even deadlier.
Found her. She's with Watkins. He's got her locked up in some sort of glass chamber. They're taking her upstairs. Hurry up, Cahal.
I almost said, "What do you think I'm doing? Taking a leisurely stroll?" But then again, I'm sniffing plants, so I mean, she has a point. I'm gonna try to sneak a bit here because I'm low on rage.
Something to hell. Huh? Hostile confirmed. We've been breached.
Wait, you said something about dashing in midair, right? Oh, okay. Okay, that's the stuff. Okay, I'm impressed with the stuff. Yeah, I know, it's a problem. I'm a completionist at heart. Come on, buddy. There it is. To find some uses of the heavy form. You know, sniffing plant, yeah. You know, from redesigns aren't bad, but other than the first Rhino guy, you can't really appreciate. I agree.
Any news on Watkins?
He called the helicopter. He's just waiting for it to arrive. I think you can reach him.
I know what I said. It was right there. Wait. didn't even notice that was locked. Okay.
Target in sight. Fire at will.
Realize I wasn't hit. Did not use the skill I thought I was using. I mean, you clearly knew where it was. Why are you not looking in the right direction? Like, it was an ambush. At least it felt like an ambush.
The President will be taking off shortly. His chopper arrives in just a few minutes. As soon as he's gone, we'll shift our security down a level. Until then, we remain on maximum alert. Now, get to your posts.
Send more men and make sure they're ready to fight.
Turrets are a problem. Need to take them out quickly. There's two of them shooting at me at the same time. That wasn't good for me.
The President will be taking off shortly. His chopper arrives in just a few minutes. As soon as he's gone, we'll shift our security down a level. Until then, remain on maximum alert. Now, get to your posts.
What the hell?
I guess my $1,000 question is there any kind of door I can open to hack, not hack, but disable, I guess, is what I'm looking for. The turrets. God damn it. Where did that guy come from? Why am I heavy? The turrets are gone. Let's go agile. Saw guy jump, there it is. Okay. I'm not going into frenzy, I'm waiting for the next wave. Yeah, I underestimated the turrets. I've never actually fought turrets much. I tend to successfully deactivate them or just completely dodge them. So, yeah. But here I got fainted somehow. Like, I thought I knew where all the guys were, but as I was waiting for... There was one guy coming from this angle to jump up there so I can kill him. Apparently some other guy came from here in my back and I never saw him, so... It's fine.
They're moving her. They've loaded the chamber into...
Ava! Ava! Shit!
Sure. I mean, wouldn't be much of a stretch. I mean, I would easily believe a samurai be strong enough to do it. Well, okay. There we go. Yeah, we can play that game, folks. Wave. Just gonna wake up. Yeah, I was waiting for an actual wave again, and it never came. Because I don't want to waste it on 1 or 2 enemies. Considering my build is that I make frenzy as I kill, so I can keep it longer. It's just better for me to keep it as the waves come in, not as they leave.
Edana. I can smell her.
This is a thing. Even in Hobbit, actually, in theory, werewolves have a good sense of smell. You may have noticed I no longer shift in my... Well, it's right there. No longer shift in my umbral vision. I'm not looking for sniffs. I'm looking for documents and such. I thought the laptops would be a good spot for it, but nope. The hail that increases your rage. F. Oh! Hail. Yeah, good point. Very good point. So I'm just gonna walk up to Watkins. Sure.
Impressive work.
Oh no, don't
I
worry.
really didn't think you'd make
Who's
it this
that?
far.
I suggest you tell me where she is, if you want to keep breathing.
Ah, Adana. What a promising young woman. Attractive, too. She clearly takes after her mother. You'll find her at the helipad with President Watkins. Well, assuming you hurry. They'll be taking off soon.
Yeah, I'm tempted to agree, but I will still ask why... Okay, chat, what do you think? Sepmates, do I try to get some information as to what's special about my daughter by asking why her, or do I just enrage? You know out of character that he's just stalling? Okay. So there's nothing to get out of it. So, in other words, your vote is enrage. Is that what I'm getting? No? Oh, you know that out of character I want to get some information, but in character, why would I spend time waiting for... Okay, that makes sense. Okay, so I guess that means then your vote is to ask why her. Anybody else still in chat with us tonight? Has an opinion? Why her? Okay, so two votes.
What do you
That's
want?
a rule. We're confirming.
Frankly speaking, she's a chance for us to recoup our losses. Something we desperately need after all the trouble you and your friends have caused us. Adana's extraordinary nature will allow us to transform this collateral damage into lucrative scientific advancements.
If you fucking hurt her...
Now, do control yourself. The elevator to the helipad is just nearby, and I've ensured that it is active.
Why help me?
President's
Good question.
orders. He's prepared a little surprise for you.
Yeah, we're just gonna enrage. But I have option kill him, so let's do that.
Then that's where I'm going after I've torn you in half. For everything you've done to Gaia and to my daughter.
Watkins did warn me of how violent and irrational your kind is.
Last time I waited for waves, they never came, so let's just frenzy away. So her extraordinary nature, so she's a werewolf then. Or kin, just like any other. Feels like. Sure.
Ava! Watkins is at the helipad. He's trying to escape with Adana. I'm heading up there.
We know it's been established. Yeah, probably close to final fight. Might as well. Okay, but we've got 2 points. And oh, right, no, this costs 4. Never mind.
There you are. You must be Kahal. It's time for you to pay for what you've done to this company. Your daughter's hate and fears will make a perfect host for Banes. And as for your friends, well, I've got a score to settle with them too. It's high time they understood. Nobody attacks Endron. Nobody. Launch Earthblood.
No! I'm gonna kill you, you motherfucker! You're gonna pay!
It's a bit of a vague threat. Some black cloud. Why am I fighting a red talon? This is a fight that's been spoiled, so I knew this was going to happen, but I expected there to be some kind of story to it. Not just, well, for some reason the Red Talon's gonna help the president escape. I hope they explain it after, because right now I'm very confused. And I get that they were presented as somewhat tainted. But they really weren't acting out of character for Red Talons, so I don't agree that they were tainted. Shift back to Lupus in the middle of a fight against the Campos.
Watkins has released his gas across the whole region. You've got to get out right now.
What about Adana?
The son of a bitch just took her away in his helicopter. I got held up by one of the Red Talons.
Indeed.
What?
Oh, now we'll have to answer for that. But right now, Adana's all that matters. We've got to find out where they're taking her.
Watkins Terminal. Connect me.
thing. Wouldn't exactly say they're common, though. It's definitely one of the tribes where I don't see them. Okay. I don't think it would be a very common thing in the tribe, but I don't remember for sure. R. Watkins, your devotion to our cause, redacted, will be felt in the coming weeks. You will soon feel redacted. Endron, redacted, spread to all soldiers. Discipline and effectiveness of men will be improved by it. Redacted, you will distribute the equipment and the strains to your team. Redacted, worm will become redacted. You will soon feel its call.
Watkins is a
redacted.
servant of the worm. There's no doubt now.
Well, gee, how'd you figure that one out? Yeah, I feel redacted. Yeah, I don't remember canonically if there's a lot of metis in the Red Talons. That's something that would be in Guardians of the Cairn. And or the Red Talon tribe book, but I really wouldn't think so. They're really mainly lupus. Yeah, no, I don't think there was doubt before, because I remember literally them saying a bit earlier, like, yeah, no hesitation, I'm just going to kill them all because they serve the worm, and, like, now the president, oh no, I'm not so sure, you know, I'm going to wait for proof. Wait for my order on the Red Talons. Their pack leader has accepted our offer. Wow. Division 2 thinks that their experiments on these subjects have had long-term effects. They may join the camp of the worm, otherwise we'll strike them once they've finished with this Kahal and the Lambda mankind. It is vital that we allow them free reign at present. Well, they did experiment on Onawa, so I can believe that she would fall. And if she falls, she could have an influence on her personal totem, which normally would stop there. But in this case, it's also the pack totem and the Cairn totem. So, sure. That's where I thought. Okay. I suppose I can see how the pack might be tainted by her action or her own.
It's up to you now.
It's gonna take me some time. You've got to keep moving. I'll open a path for you to their underground labs. Just get back here ASAP.
I like this sentence. I feel redacted. I'm gonna have to keep that. Find a way to use that somewhere.
This place is steeped in the influence of the worm.
I found the reports on the Earthblood protocol.
We'll worry about that later. Find Adana.
Seven's gonna use it. Ah, there we go. There's no like latest data obtained on the Earthblood protocol positive. The gas tanks that we have received from the offshore lab has been put in place and have undergone the necessary checks. Division 2 is ready for a full-scale test. The data collected will allow the compound to be improved. I kept waiting for the
wasn't produced here.
I kept waiting for the game to just kind of explain Earthblood protocol, but it's just kind of a thing, I guess. They have it. It's a weird gas that maybe they also inject on people. And now they've managed to spread the gas through a whole valley, which does things, I guess. Corrupts the valley in a way, I guess. Just seems like quick.
Earthblood protocol. All the men
Oh.
in the outposts in the surrounding area have either become Fomori or are well on their way. Allow me to congratulate you on the resounding success. You've all done very well.
So it's a press a button to Fomorize a whole army. That's not how this works. That's not even close to how it works, but okay. Again, they're allowed to tell the story they want to tell. That factually speaking, to become a Samurai, it's a lot closer to what Watkin actually was just saying a moment ago. Like,
hey,
her hatred, her anger towards you, things like that, make her a good host for Bane. That's how Samurais happen. More on that though on my Wormlore video. I'm going to be talking about urge worms, which is essentially how the worm gets, what kind of feelings are the worm's domain, and make you perfect hosts for its influence. And once the influence is in, you are then a prime candidate for Fummarization. That's a word I decided. Did I get enough points yet? But soon. And probably my 5th episode will be entirely on Fummarai, the various breeds, that kind of thing. Or maybe just worm minions in general. Like,
receiving data from the on-site sensors. I want hourly analysis from each division. The first test will serve as a benchmark. Once the process is calibrated, we can extrapolate how it will work on a larger scale.
Yeah, I guess I not going to clearly state because it hasn't actually fully happened yet, but kind of.
Holy shit! Call security!
Then I tried to sleep, and for some reason, when I tried to get close to the enemy, it just kind of, I don't know if the geo was in the way or it just didn't work. I heard people die, but that was way too blurry. I had no idea who I was hitting and how. And as for the earlier comment that the frenzy lasted long, as long as I keep dishing out damage, I stay in frenzy. That's an upgrade I bought, so that's why. Let's simplify. I was spoiled that I would have to fight Red Talons. And more on that in a moment.
I've got it. They've taken her to one of their offshore black sites. I'll send Declan to pick you up as soon as we've moved the survivors somewhere safe.
So I've got time to settle things with Onawa.
Well, it's pretty obvious by now, so I guess I'm just gonna go out and say it. We're gonna settle things with Onawa. And, well, it doesn't stop there. Let's keep it at that. I think I'm going to do... You know what, maybe let's keep Onawa for next time, just because I'm concerned that as soon as I get near her, a cutscene's gonna start. That's going to last a bit. So it sounds like a good place to stop. Pentex had a magic button to make Famurai, they wouldn't have half the subsidiaries they do.
Onawa. Could she have really given in to the worm? I have to be sure.
Because most of the subsidiaries, well, not most, but several subsidiaries are basically like Bane farms that are just trying to bring normal folks in their homes and such to the state of mind where they are in tune enough to become Famurai.
Did what had to be done.
That's a good idea. Let's actually discuss that now. I was actually thinking, because I keep not finding time to play Subnautica. And as we well know by now, Bloodlines not coming out anytime soon. So we're really in no hurry to play Bloodlines. The first one, and it's probably going to be more... Oh, y'all just know where I am. Okay. It's probably going to be more interesting to play Bloodlines 1 closer to the release of Bloodlines 2. So, in other words, we're pretty much out of World of Darkness games to play. Since I just don't have enough free time to stream at other dates than this Monday slot, I think I'm just going to play Subnautica for a bit. It's a great game, it's a chill game, it's gonna be fun, I think, to just chat with friends while I play it. And I know some people like Stanil, for example, like to have my stream in the background while she works, so it seems to me like a game like Subnautica would be a good audio background, I suppose. The music, the tempo should be conducive to being focused, helping her work. That's one of my secret goals when I stream, to help Stanil work. So yeah. And it's already installed and everything. So if you're correct, and I think you will be, and the rest of the game is ridiculously short, we're gonna talk. I'll field questions in general, and switch over to Subnautica.
Gahal, I thought you should hear this from me.
What is it?
Dusk, the gas. He didn't make it.
No!
I'm sorry.
Dusk.
Well, it's everyone, so who's surprised there? That's a good point, right? If,
So many dead. And I'll make Watkins pay for every one.
If it turns out that, for example, we finished a game and it's like 9:30 or some such, I agree it might not be the best time to start Subnautica, because I'm gonna want at least 2 or 3 straight hours first with Subnautica just to properly sell the game, I guess. If that's what happened, maybe we'll try, what was it? Was it Superliminal or some such? That puzzle game a friend highly recommended some time ago, and Terraria was familiar with, said that I should absolutely not boot it before I mean to actually play it. So that might... And you also said it was very short, right? So that could be something we play and as a group, for example, try to puzzle it out and stuff like that. So that might be something we do. It really depends on how quick it is to finish the game next week. But for now, it looks like we're done. I don't dare get any closer to her, just because I feel we're gonna start the end sequence, and I don't want to do that now. The other thing is I work very early tomorrow. This week I'm being trained in the new system, so I start work a whole hour earlier than I'm used to. Right, so I'm going to use this opportunity to finish relatively early and go to bed relatively early as well. So, as usual, thank you very much, everyone, for coming. That was fun. Of course, there are some bumps on the road. But overall, I'm still having fun. I'm still liking the game, and despite the changes, and I hope for anyone who was watching the Spirit explanation, at least that cleared up a couple of things. I will probably, since that's a full hour, I will probably split. As in, on YouTube, I'll probably do a video that's just that 1 hour and another one that's the full episode. Because I referred to it not again, so it's just simpler if they're together in the actual episode of tonight's stream. So yeah, that's going to be coming up soon. Probably it's something I'm going to be rendering tomorrow during Deviant. Other than that, I really don't have much to say. The scripts are going well for the Worm Lore episodes. I'm almost done with writing the bit I wanted to do before I start taping. So most likely I'm going to start recording this week. And after that, I will try to figure out exactly what I want to put in episode 4 and 5. 4 will probably be male gens all the way. And 5 will probably be just specifically the minions of the worm, what kind of Fumra breeds exist, what kind of Banes exist, potentially just enemies in general, so maybe I'll just also cover drones, Gorgons, Camis, just all kinds of different oppositions, so that maybe when we're done, we can also help dispel another thing that keeps being thrown around, that werewolf is just about eco-terrorist wolves and stuff, and it's like, well, you know, look at most of what we fight, that's got nothing to do with saving the trees, buddy. So maybe we could show that there are other possibilities. Sure, when you fight Endron, for example, it's about saving the earth and the trees and stopping oil spills, but most types of Banes and Fumrai have jack squat to do with any of that, so sounds like it would be a good content to put out there to maybe show people that there's a lot more you can do with werewolf. But we'll see. I still need to puzzle that out. But for now, I think episode 1, 2, 3 are pretty much solid. Pretty much a trilogy, to be honest. There's just too much to say about the worm itself to do it any other way. So that's going to be really 3 episodes about just setting the stage so you understand what the worm is, what predicament it's in. And then I talk about the triadic worms and the elemental worms, and then the urge worms have their own episodes because there's so much to say about those. And yeah, so those are the big ones I wanted to really put on paper before I start recording. So that's coming soon, probably sometime next week. Probably we're gonna start seeing episodes coming up. So yeah, that's it. Really not much else new. No other new games to showcase. Nothing new to review. It makes sense. We're gonna have probably a bit of a drought of games for a bit until we get more news on Bloodlines 2 or good night, Nomad. Thanks for coming, bro. Yeah, so more news on the other World of Darkness games, because I know there are more coming for sure. I don't think they're going to stop there. There's going to be Wraith coming up soon. I'm going to try to see if I can figure out how to stream that. However, the problem is going to be location, because my office right now, because I'm stuck with having my work office behind my personal office, is cutting a lot of room that I would have normally used for VR. So I don't know if it's going to be realistic to stream that game until almost next year, where I can get some actual space in here. But I'm sure sooner or later we're gonna get more. There's Swan Song coming up. I don't know when exactly. There's the what's that called? I don't think it even has a name yet. Does it have a name yet? The one that's like Jesus, or a bunch of people fighting together. The Battle Royale game. That's coming as well. We don't know when, but there's a lot of games, and I'm sure. I mean, not as far as I know. I don't think there's anything announced, but surely there's going to be more. I think visual novel types coming eventually. The people at Draw Distance surely have something down the pipes. I don't know what it is, but surely there's something else. It's been very successful. I doubt they're going to stop there. So I'm sure there's going to be more somewhere down the line. But for the next couple of months, we're going to have to play other things. So yeah, Superliminal is something I want to try. Definitely going to play Subnautica for sure. After that, we'll play it by here if something else is out. True, Night Road is something we could... oh, shit. Yeah, Night Road is something we could absolutely do here. Could be fun. For those who don't know, Night Road is a novel. It's not a visual novel. It's a novel. But it's interactive. Like, you've got a couple of paragraphs of a novel, and then you choose what your character does. And you can play just about any clan. It's vampire-based. You can play... not Assamite, but their new names. The name's not coming up to me right now, but the clan that replaced the Assamite, you can even play that. You can play the Sombra, you can play all kinds of things. Banu Akim. So I think we could have a lot of fun with that for a while. So let's do Subnautica first, just because it's been a while that I wanted to replay that and show it to the stream. When we're done with Subnautica, how about that? Night Road sounds really fun. Outer Wilds, yes, that sounds like a game that would be cool to stream as well. It's I haven't booted it yet. Because if it's not obvious, my Monday stream is kind of an excuse for me to force myself to find time to game. Otherwise, I don't game that much anymore. So Outer Wilds is definitely something I wanted to play. So streaming it would be a great excuse to force myself to find time to actually boot it. From what I understand, it's you have 20 minutes to save the world or some such, and you're stuck in a time loop. So if you fail, you keep trying, but now you know more than you did your first attempt. So you keep trying until you succeed. It sounds special. It's in space. There's it's something else. It's really something else. Check it out. It's on Epic at least. It might be on Steam as well. I'm not sure. But it sounds pretty cool. I've been looking forward to trying that a long time ago. So yeah. Definitely a good suggestion. I will actually you know what? I'm gonna write it down. I'm gonna take notes. Games to stream. Night Road, Superliminal, Subnautica, Outer Worlds. Alright, that was a very good idea. Outer Wilds, sorry, I said Worlds, but it's Wilds, not the same game. I have actually played Outer Worlds. It was fine, but didn't finish it. Okay, so if you have any other games you'd like me to stream, it's not gonna be soon, but I have no issues building a list and eventually just trying a bunch of them. So anyone who wants to reach me on social media, you can find me under the name of Yoden_2 on most social media, or just plain Yoden, wherever Yoden wasn't already taken, because somehow in most social medias Yoden's already taken. It's, I don't know. So you can find me there. Just drop me quick chat. I'm always happy to talk to people. Just let me know if there's a game. No promise that it's going to be soon, because once again, we have a very short 3 to 4 hour window every week, so I mean it's going to take a while to play through them, but I'm happy to take a note, and when it's appropriate, try your game out. If you want to talk werewolf, go ahead as well. I'm on Twitch, I'm on Facebook, I'm on several Discords, so you can not check me out, that's just weird, but seek me out over there and start a convo about werewolf. I'm always happy to discuss these nice, gentle fellows. But for now, thank you very much for coming tonight. I hope you had fun, and I'm going to wish you all a good evening. See you all next week.